Start with the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Call to order this Planning Commission meeting on June 19th at 6 p.m. The first item is the approval of the minutes for the May 15th, 2025 meeting.
Move to accept.
Okay, a
I'll
motion
second
to
that.
accept. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain, I wasn't here.
And I'll abstain too. Is that gonna work, Jeff, as far as, can it still move forward? We're in this,
You guys can still,
I'll vote aye,
I
cause
was
I read
thinking we
it.
might
here
need to
because-
get it to go.
yeah.
Yeah, so if you,
No,
if
you
you're
were-
good
I
with
read
that-
it and I have, I approve them.
Okay, so aye, so it'd be four
I
zero?
actually did watch the video, I just couldn't join.
Yeah, perfect, okay. Yeah, that,
Otherwise it gets a little tricky.
Yeah.
In this situation, I get it though, I get it. Okay, so we have a quasi judicial hearing for Woods Creek Property LLC. Request for comprehensive plan amendment to 0.5 acre portion of a 1.06 acre unit of land from CO, commercial, to residential 2 acre RR2, together with a zone change from CRC, commercial RR to residential R2. This is Planning Department file number 25-010. So, let me get my cheat sheet. Man, Jeff, it's been a while. Okay, as far as we've announced it, do we have any conflict of interest or ex parte contacts or site visits regarding this?
Other than having driven by it many times on the highway, no.
Ditto that.
Yeah.
Okay, none being heard, do we have a parties list, qualified, unqualified?
I didn't prepare one based on the lack of response that we received for
Okay.
this request.
Okay, is there anyone in the audience that would like to testify in favor or opposed?
In favor.
Okay, if you could come up and just state your name and your address, that'd be awesome, you know the routine.
Mark Garrett, 12975 Tiller Trail Highway, Days Creek.
Okay, thanks, sir. And for the staff report,
Good evening, Chairman Burke and fellow commissioners. I'm Josh Gibson, Senior Planner. I'm submitting
Thanks,
staff exhibits 1 through 12 for your review. And for the introduction, the applicant Woods Creek Properties LLC is requesting a comprehensive plan amendment from commercial CO to committed residential 2 acre RC2 of a 0.5 acre portion of a 1.06 acre lot of record, together with a zone change from CRC, rural community commercial, to RR, rural residential 2. The property lies within the Days Creek rural community, located on the west side of Tiller Trail Highway at its intersection with Days Creek Road. The property currently contains 3 pre-existing structures, which previously served as a market, shop, and single-family dwelling. The purpose of the quasi-judicial application is to allow for the continued use of the single-family dwelling structure in an RR zone. Permitted uses generally in the RR zone include single-family dwellings, accessory structures, limited farm uses, and other various uses per section 3.9.050 of the Douglas County Ludo. If approved, the applicant will retain the use of the single-family dwelling in a rural residential zone. The subject property is located within the Days Creek rural community, located on the west side of Tiller Trail Highway and the intersection with Days Creek Road, where there is a mix of zoning and land use activities. Properties lying to the north are either developed with single-family residences and or rural farmland. Properties to the east, west, and south are designated rural community commercial, but are developed with single-family dwellings, with the only exceptions being the store market on the subject property and the United States Postal Service Post Office across the street. These properties are zoned CRC, rural community commercial. The zoning surrounding this cluster of commercial zoning is predominantly RR, rural residential, with some FC exclusive farm use cropland to the north and PR public reserve to the south, which is Days Creek Charter School. The applicable criteria, the Douglas County Land Use and Development Ordinance, LUDO, at section 6.500, establishes the procedure for processing quasi-judicial comprehensive plan amendments and sets forth the applicable criteria as follows. LUDO section 6.500, application form and content and amendment standards. Section 2, the application shall address the following requirements which shall be standard for amendment. A, that the applicant or the amendment complies with the statewide planning goals and applicable administrative rules, which include OAR 660-12, the Transportation Planning Rule adopted by the Land Conservation and Development Commission pursuant to ORS 197.240 or as revised pursuant to ORS 197.245. B, that the amendment provides a reasonable opportunity to satisfy a local need for a different land use. A demonstration of need for the change may be based upon special studies or other factual information. C, that the particular property in question is suited to the proposed land use, and if an exception is involved, that the property in question is best suited for the use as compared to other available properties. LUDO Article 38 establishes criteria for approval of a zone change as followed. 2, it is established that A, the rezoning will conform with the applicable sections of the comprehensive plan. B, the site is suitable to the proposed zone. And C, there have been a conscious consideration of the public health, safety, and welfare in applying the specific zoning regulations. Recommendation, based upon the findings outlined above, planning staff recommends approval of the requested comprehensive plan amendment from commercial CO to committed residential 2-acre RC2 and zone change from CRC, rural community commercial, to RR, rural residential 2 of a 0.50 acre portion of a 1.06 acre lot of record, which meets the criteria of Chapter 6, Section 6.500 and Chapter 3, Article 38 of the Douglas County Land Use and Development Ordinance. This concludes the county's report.
So if the applicant and also the party in favor can come on up and give us your testimony, that'd be great. Again, state your name and address if you would.
Chair Burke, Mark Garrett, and good to see all of you again. I won't spend a lot of time talking about this. The staff has done a good job of assessing the application. Essentially, the applicant simply wants to convert the area where the residence is to a residential zone, so it's conforming use within the zone that allows for financing those kinds of things, which is not possible or more difficult if it's commercially zoned and a residential use. The dwelling has been there since circa 1940. The old aerial photo shows that it's been in existence. It's been in residential use for the last 80 plus years and was used in conjunction with the other uses on the property until those uses were discontinued some years ago, and it's continued to be used for residential purposes to this date. So as staff said, it does conform to the applicable criteria, and we hope that you will approve it as submitted. I'm happy to try and answer any questions you might have about the proposal.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
All right, do we have anyone opposed? There is not. No rebuttal, so I'm gonna go ahead and close the public portion. And discussion.
Seems pretty cut and dried to me, just gonna say.
Yep.
Yeah, the only questions I have are more process than anything specific to the request. I'm just curious how long this took you to. How long, let's see, how much time did the application and process take? That was the note I wrote down, like, so how long have you been working on this, either staff or the applicant?
That's a great question. I guess since
My question, what are the hangups on it? I mean, why does this come to us instead of, why can the planning not approve this?
Zone change.
We'll come back to Jake's question. So in the structure of the land use ordinance, there are approvals that we can review, staff level where there's no notice required, those are ministerial decisions. We have the next level, administrative decisions that are staff level review. There is an appeal period, so sometimes those do come before you guys if we feel that there's a lot of neighbor issues when we send out the initial notice. We'll refer them, or they will also end up before you on appeal. And then there's a small list, which is typically you're gonna see before you zone changes or plan amendment zone changes. They're required to be reviewed and approved as quasi judicial.
Okay.
And so they're always going to come before this body.
I'll make a motion to approve the planning department's recommendations as is.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
4-0.
And then, some background for you, Jake, on your question, there's quite a bit of time if you really break it down, because once a file comes in, from a client, so we have a consultant that prepares it,
Right.
however much time they put into it, there's a lot to a plan amendment for certain, especially, this one's maybe more straightforward, so not as complicated as some other types of plan amendments where you might be trying to argue that you're changing from resource land to residential.
Understood.
A lot more, cause then you're talking about exceptions to statewide planning goals 3 and 4, a lot more to it. Here you're just kind of a focus on local need and a much simpler plan amendment, if you can use the word simple in plan amendment. Some bad planning humor
Maybe
there.
it's out of empathy for my rural neighbors, but this seems to be an onerous time and process to do something which is almost like, well, I was thinking in like adverse possession, almost like this isn't a material change of use from, I think, a reasonable person's perspective.
Right. And it's interesting, you bringing this up, it is interesting, like I said, this plan amendment is easier, you could
Sure.
say,
No, I
than
understand.
some. But the state has very specific criteria that have to be addressed. And so,
And if this was going in reverse, we might see more people concerned, but being it's going into residential, which already is, but if it was being moved to commercial, we'd probably see some neighbors that might have some interest, but.
I would have,
Interesting.
I would defer to almost to the community, if there was dissension, then okay, then there'd be reason for a conversation, but I'm trying to think of what discretion do we have to say, appreciate there's a process, but let's expedite this for our neighbors.
yeah, to Daniel's
all
point though,
possible,
like Daniel said, is sometimes if going to commercial then from residential, then you get into more traffic and other potential impacts that neighbors could have been more concerned about, maybe not at this location, but
And I'm thinking
and-
this very specific location.
yeah, and that's the other thing too, this application elsewhere, case by case, you could have a different
Correct, I totally understand.
to the whole review process, so.
I just had a lot
Yeah,
of
case in
empathy
point,
for my
the
Days Creek neighbors.
RV request out in 10 Mile.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had to go through it twice.
Yeah.
That was a dogfight.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah, and then they kind of repackaged it, worked with the neighbor,
Mhm.
and then came back a second time around and got it approved.
so I'll retract my question, okay?
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's all good discussion.
Very educational.
Yeah.
Do we have any other business from the audience? Okay, we do not. Business from the planning commission. Jeff, planning department? Got anything coming up in the queue for next month or anything?
Yes, Josh has reviewed and we've deemed complete a zone change request. It is, remind me, Fortune Branch?
Yeah, Fortune Branch.
Fortune Branch, so one of our smaller areas that we've designated as a rural service center, has some commercial zoning that is in place, but they have an old market that was on the property. And Yeah, and, we just remembered we have
Findings of
findings.
fact,
Oh,
yeah.
I was wondering about that, okay.
We got onto our philosophical conversation.
Sorry, yeah.
So we'll come back to the findings, but
Okay.
yeah, we'll have a zone change. They're just trying to change from commercial zoning to rural residential within that rural service center because the market that was on the property has been shut down since 2015,
Yes.
so.
It was the old H&H Market. And then went to Fortune Branch.
Okay,
Oh.
yeah. Yeah, so they made a go of it and then decided to, so it kind of was a house and commercial building all in one structure.
I'm gonna have to excuse myself from this.
Yeah, so, yes,
my
by
name.
the
You have
way.
to tell us stories of what happened in What happened in the market has to stay in the market, okay?
Yes, we had the philosophical questions, but that got us off from the fact. that-
Yes, so we'll wheel back around, you guys got some finding of
Yeah,
facts?
Josh
Well
has
said,
some
Mr.
findings
Chair.
of fact.
Getting out of hand here. But we're 18 minutes into this meeting,
I know.
so I mean,
We're making record time.
yeah.
We're kinda, we've met kinda on and off and haven't been.
Well, you were, yeah.
I was
well,
gone last time, but then we didn't have a meeting prior to that.
Don't forget our phone meeting.
Yeah, our, we'd like to forget.
We'd like to
our-
forget it,
our-
yeah.
How smooth that went.
Yeah.
Thank you. Josh pointed out that we anticipated Michael Whitmer, so
Amend that.
we can, but we'll let you read through and see if there's anything else that jumps out at you.
You guys wanna amend a copy, or do you just want me to cross it out on this one, sign it, or, okay.
After reviewing the findings of facts, I move to approve the findings of facts
Second.
Moved and
with the
seconded.
amendment of Michael removed.
Moved and second, any other discussion or additions, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 4-0. All right, and then back to the last part, as far as planning department, so we'll have a meeting next month.
Yeah,
Just
just
that
probably
one.
gonna, depending on if there's any, it's probably gonna be the same thing as this, where there's not a lot of public outcry. So it could be just
Man, it's
another.
been like, we were on a track record between RV
Right.
parks, rock pits, solar farms, and now it's been
Bike
kinda
trail.
quiet. Yeah, bike trail, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if we don't have anything else, we'll adjourn this meeting. Thanks for coming, you guys.
Thank you.
Meeting adjourned.
I'll get out the neighbor.